The Supreme Court is about to give its final judgment on Obamacare. There's possibly a technical glitch in there that would invalidate the national setup of Obamacare in 34 different states. Now, those states should have their own exchanges anyway, according to the law, but Republican governors and Republican legislatures have decided, no, we're not going to set up an exchange. We're not going to give people subsidies, and so they can't get health care. Now, if the Supreme Court invalidates this law, which is clearly against the intent of the people who passed the law, they testified to that effect, saying, our intent is clear. Now, Scalia has made a whole career of saying, oh, he cares about original intent. Nothing's ever been clearer in this case, but he might invalidate it anyway because he's a Republican and he doesn't really care, and he has no guiding philosophy. The guy who claimed to care about states' rights gave the 2000 election to George Bush by invalidating Florida's states' rights. Anyway, how much people would be affected by this? Well, 6.4 million people could lose their subsidies and hence their health insurance in 34 different states if the Supreme Court decides to invalidate Obamacare in those states, the exchanges. Well, you got to understand something. If people don't have their subsidy, they will lose their insurance. They'll either go bankrupt, or if they have an ongoing condition, and some people are trying to recover from cancer, heart disease, etc., they will die. That's not some sort of political exaggeration. That's literal. They will die. Maybe, and oftentimes they will go bankrupt, then die, okay? So, look, I want to give you an instance of this that Huffington Post did a good job of tracking a number of people. Joe Lucas is a guy out of Pittsburgh. He works. He doesn't make a ton of money. He makes about $30,000 a year, between 25 and 30. But he works. He works hard every day, right? But he's got a condition. They tell you about it. Lucas had an aortic aneurysm in 2010, so he has to keep monitoring his heart condition. Even though his most recent test came up clean in May, Lucas knows that the computed tomography scan he needs as a part of the checkup every 2 years would cost him $11,000 without insurance instead of the $50 now. Who's got $11,000 lying around every 2 years to do a test? Well, if you don't do that test, well, it turns out your condition can come back, and then without you realizing it and preventing it, you can die. That's how conditions work. So many more people will die because of this. Because nobody's got $11,000 lying around unless they're the rich sons of bitches who are trying to take this away in the first place because they need more tax cuts. Oh, I don't want to pay for anybody's health insurance. Who gives a shit about Joe Lucas? I want more money. I want to keep more of my taxes, right? And I demand more tax cuts. Let the guys live, for Christ's sake, man. This is a matter of life and death. Joe Lucas speaks for himself here. He says, they look upon me as like some kind of moocher. But he's not a moocher. He works. It's just impossible to afford the scans that he needs. That's among the different things that he needs for his particular condition, among many conditions that afflict many Americans and a huge percentage of that 6.4 million people who might go without insurance if the Supreme Court rules the wrong way. Finally, Joe says this: billions of dollars in corporate welfare to oil companies and whatnot. You know, and that's not a problem for them, but I'm a person who gets $2,400 a year in subsidies to help pay for my insurance. I pay almost 3 times that much in taxes, so it's not like I'm taking them on the negative side. The guy pays his taxes. He's just looking to stay alive. Apparently that's too much to ask for. We have to reserve all our money for taxes for the rich, for more wars that defense contractors and oil companies make money from, and for oil subsidies. We got $40 billion a year to give away to the richest companies in the world, but we can't make sure Joe doesn't have a heart attack. Is that the kind of country we are? Well, thanks to Obamacare, and I don't love all parts of the bill, and I had my issues with it, but at least it solves this, and it keeps this guy alive. We're not in that kind of country anymore. The Supreme Court has a decision to make. They can bring us the kind of vicious country that lets Joe fend for himself and die on his own accord without any kind of help. My final judgment is, for God's sake, keep this part of Obamacare. Let's not be as heartless as this. But on this case, I don't get to make the final judgment. The Supreme Court does. And I fear what they might say, given their past history. Keep it. For Christ's sake, keep it.